Good afternoon and welcome to the Airsoft World Sofa. It's a Monday afternoon, we've just done a game on Sunday. I'm absolutely knackered, so if I fall asleep in the middle of this, I apologise now. Okay, been looking around the interweb, as we do, and we see lots of interesting videos for lots of interesting things, and recently we came across one for the HFC Spring L85, which I have to say, had it been put up as a comedy airsoft video, I think we'd probably have won prizes. As an honest appraisal of the airsoft gun itself, however, it was perhaps a wee bit wide of the mark. Now, we have stocks of this particular rifle, and I personally know it really well, being something that I've owned more than a few of in the past. So we thought, let's put a video up and say, yeah, it's a great wee gun, but don't actually expect it to bring down aircraft. What we're talking about is my old friend here, and everybody's friend, the British Army's SA-80. Our case, we have a unique finish to meet the requirements in the UK for two-tone. It's a combination of green plastic through which has been swirled in effect in the moulding process. Airsoft World have recently restocked the HFC version of the SA-80, and unlike many suppliers, rather than going with a solid colour, what we have is a fairly unique pattern. You'll have seen this on our VSR 11s as well, where we've added excess ABS from other moulding processes into the green, and the effect you get is this very unique swirl pattern. So while we're still fully conformant with the regulations and the laws here in Britain, it does make the plastic look slightly more interesting. And although it's still fairly bright green, it's not quite as offensive as some of the colours out there. The gun itself has got a very long history, and I'm not just talking about the real steel SA-80. If you ever look at one of these and you look underneath the stock, I'm not quite sure you can see that, but hopefully you can, there's a hole, right? And some of you may actually have wondered why there's a hole. And the reason for that is that in its earliest incarnation, this gun was not just available as a Springer that most of us have seen, but actually as a gas gun powered by external air. And I have had the good fortune to see those in the past, and I have to say the gas mechanism that was inside these things is one of the nicest bits of engineering I've ever seen. They are firmly classic airsoft these days, and if you ever see one, consider yourself lucky, because they are rare as rare things on a rare day. It does mean that the spring mechanism in these is actually almost like a gearbox. It's a single unit which, if you can be bothered to take the gun to bits, and I don't recommend that, it comes out as a single piece, which is interesting. Right, what is it? Well, it's an SA-80, it's an SA-80a1, it's bright, you're not going to miss that. It's not terribly heavy, maybe a couple of kilos maximum. Vast majority of this thing is made out of plastic, with the exception of the gas block at the front. The outer barrel is metal, trigger's metal, trigger guard, and the sling swivels are metal, and it will quite happily take a genuine or a reproduction SA-80 sling if you want to do that for fun. It comes with both the SUSAT sight, which you see on the rifle, and that's how it comes out of the box. And bizarrely, and I have to say it is bizarre, the rifle version also comes with the iron sight carry handle, which can just be screwed on in place of the SUSAT. For reasons best known to HFC, however, it doesn't come with the foresight component of that setup. So although you can put the carry handle on, in terms of using it as an aiming aid, it is singularly rubbish. I like the look of it, but it doesn't work. The SUSAT, for all of you who keep looking at these things and going, oh, that's a cheap SUSAT to put on my G&G SA-80A2, it's not. It doesn't fit the same way, it's made of plastic, it doesn't magnify, and the sight picture is reasonably good. It's sort of like the SA-80, the SUSAT, the proper sight, in that it has a single post in it. It's plastic. It's all plastic with the exception of the springs. It doesn't work terribly well, and if you read the instructions, I think it's significant that HFC themselves recommend setting it up using the emergency battle sights which are mounted on top of the SUSAT, draw your own conclusions. This is not a sharpshooter's rifle, and anyone that tells you that the sight is a work of art and the best thing about the gun, frankly, needs to get out more, certainly get exposed to more airsoft guns. It has a very unique 25 round magazine, not a high capacity magazine by anyone's standards. It's about as simple as you can get. The plunger pushes the spring down, the follower stays in place by dint of a little clip. You take the plunger out, don't lose it, it's back in the magazine, you fill it with BBs, you put it in the gun, and you hit the bottom of the mag, and that releases a spring, and it'll feed, or it should feed all 25 from the magazine, which is quite good. I did note, I don't know if they make any issue about this, in order to put the magazine into the gun, you actually do need to press the mag release. It is quite stiff, so battering it into the gun is probably not a good idea, because it is a metal mag catch and it's a plastic magazine. I suspect something will give. Operation couldn't be simpler. It's a single shot Springer, so once it's loaded, cock, let go, pull the trigger, one shot at a time. I have seen this recently described as very powerful. My idea of very powerful is something that is doing the sort of speeds that you only get outside the UK, several hundred feet per second. And trust me when I say that we put these over a chrono, and with 0.2 gram BBs, you're going to see around about 200 feet per second. Now that is not spectacular. As back garden plinkers, they are brilliant. As something to shoot your friends with in a controlled and responsible manner in your back garden, they're absolutely fine. You'll get slightly higher velocities using 0.12 gram BBs because, unless the design has changed radically, the barrels in these have no hop unit. So short range, they're actually remarkably accurate, but at longer range you lose that because you're losing range. There's not a huge lot more you can say about them. It's a fairly iconic design. We're not going to get into discussion of the pros and cons of the real thing. It's comfortable enough if you like bullpups. They tend to be very simple, very reliable, and it's a gun that you can buy with a fair degree of confidence that it will give you reasonably good service for quite a long time. Straightforward. We currently have 3 versions of this in stock. We've got the A1 rifle variant, which I've been waving around in front of the camera. We have the realistic version of this, if in the UK you're entitled to purchase it. The other one that we have, and a personal favourite of mine, I have to say, because it's really silly, is the l85a1, the Armoured Fighting Vehicle variant. Now, the differences are fairly obvious. The back end's the same, but the front end, someone's taken a hacksaw to it. It's got a much shortened front end, it's got a shortened outer barrel, there are 3 areas of riz rail on it. I hesitate to say riz rail. They are riz, they will take riz attachment, they're fairly short and they are plastic. It comes with the vertical foregrip, which on this particular gun, especially on the real one, having been fortunate enough to have a play with one in an armoury not that long ago, is vital. And it also comes with a torch. And the only thing that's metal about the torch, I think, are the battery contacts and the little clip that holds it in place. So be realistic about your expectations. This is not 500 lumens of top quality tack light. This is Taiwanese made, chuck it in the box to make you happy torch, right? Performance wise, there is nothing to choose between this and the full size one, because to be perfectly honest with you, with a screwdriver and about 5 minutes of time, I could swap the front ends between these round. It's unique. If you fancy a shorter SA80, I think it's cute. It's just a real shame we didn't get any riffs, because I could find wall space for one of these. My wife would kill me. But hey, yeah, take your chances. Again, exactly the same. Single shot Springer, pull it back, safety off, crossbolt safety there, bang, have fun.